Welcome to Global Insiders Podcast. I am Ryan, the Prophetic One, bringing you information about opportunities relating to jobs, traveling, and any information that can elevate you to your rightful place in this thing called life. You can find more information and how-to methods on globalinsidersgroup.com. That is insiders with an S. And here is today's show. On Global Insiders, we seek to break barriers down and dispel all myths to show possibilities. And in this light, I want to continue to show that it is possible to start your own business in Japan. My guest today will be doing this as he shares his Japan story. So continue doing what you are and get ready to be entertained and informed insiders. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hello. Hi, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself to the insiders.
Sure. My name is Mark. I've been in Japan almost 5 years now. I started teaching kids 1 year. Then I was teaching at Eikaiwa, mostly one-to-one, and at Semongako. It's like a quote-unquote professional training college.
Oh,
then,
wow.
So, yeah, I did that. And then very recently, maybe a few months ago.
Hold on. We'll get into all of that. So, first, how is life in Japan for you, Mark?
It's all right. Pretty good. I mean, I'm from Canada, and life there is quite good as well. So, comparing the two, I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel like going back, to be honest.
Yes. But like your daily life, in terms of like the rush, like is it congested? Like is it a big city or a rural area? What is it like?
All right. I live in Sendai in the Tohoku region, the biggest city in the northeast region. I live near the station, so it's quite busy.
Yes.
I used to live in a smaller town, and at night it would be really peaceful. I kind of prefer that a lot more.
Okay, interesting. So you have that country boy's heart, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, cool. And you said you've been there how long now?
Almost 5 years. I mean, 1 year in a smaller town, and then 3.5 years in Sendai near the station.
Okay, so how was the smaller town for you, seeing that you have that affinity for small towns, for rural areas? How was that for you?
It was good, At that time of my life, I was just waking up before noon, going to work, then coming home kind of late at night, make some dinner, eat, and relax, kind of go online, surf the web, play games, kind of peaceful day to day.
Sounds like existing.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty cool. So, what did you study at university?
I studied philosophy in university. I did 4 years in Toronto, York University, and then I did a master's in University of Victoria on the west coast, Canada.
Okay, awesome. So you're originally from Toronto?
Originally, it's gonna get a little bit longer, but I was born in Russia.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, nice.
I was born in Russia. So then I lived, when I was 1 year old, my family moved to Israel. We lived there for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And from 6 years old onwards, I grew up in Toronto. That's right.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Have you been back to Russia? Or Israel, for that matter?
I've been back to Russia twice. Once just to visit and once for my cousin's wedding.
Okay, awesome. Truly an international man. So, why move from Canada to Japan?
A good question. Let's see. I had finished my master's, and at the time, I was looking for jobs, and my friend reminded me. He said, Mark, you talked about kind of teaching, going abroad, working in Japan, and I had some friends who had done that. So he said, why don't you try that? Why don't you look into that? I said, okay, yeah, maybe that could be fun. Travel, see the world, do something different for a change.
Yes.
So I applied. I got in. It was Peppy Kids. I don't know if you know
Okay.
that company. So I
No,
was teaching there.
I'm not familiar with them.
Okay, well, it's a kodomo eikaiwa, like after school for
Yes.
kids. They come there to learn English once a week.
Okay. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you were saying regarding your friend reminded you about teaching
Yeah,
English and traveling. Yes.
right. So he reminded me, hey, why don't you, like, I expressed interest in it before and I totally forgot about it. And then he
Yes.
reminded me, hey, you were talking about going to Japan or something. I said, hey,
Yes.
that's a good idea. So I thought I would come to Japan for a year. Like,
Yes.
like most people, they come here,
Yes.
they think, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here for a year. And then they end up
Yes.
staying there or staying here for a long time.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to come here for a year and then go back to do my PhD in Canada or in America.
Okay. What do you want to do your PhD in?
Definitely philosophy, right? Because having done my master's in philosophy, basically my passion was teaching. It's always been teaching in a sense.
Yes.
I wanted to become a professor and teach university kids, university
Okay.
students, I should say.
Yes. I mean, if you're the professor, there are kids too.
Yeah, that's true.
So, was it always Japan, or was it maybe South Korea or China, or did you have your sights set on Japan?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. When I was younger, I had done martial arts for maybe 8 years or so, and I had done karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, so all Japanese martial arts. I had studied, like Bushido and kind of the philosophy behind it as well, Zen Buddhism as well. From a philosophical perspective, I was very interested in Asian philosophy and that kind of doctrine and that kind of thinking. So definitely Korea was something that I considered as well, but Japan was top of my list there for those reasons, because I had done karate.
Okay, good. All right, understood. So, I mean, yes, you studied a bit about the philosophy and so forth, but what was your first impression of Japan?
I was kind of, I think most of us have the similar experience where at first we're kind of in awe. We're like, wow, it's so different. It's so new. The food is really good. They have all this stuff in the konbinis that it's so convenient. They have like a conveyor belt sushi. They have, it's really convenient, right? You can walk to, I mean, especially if you live near a bigger city.
Yes.
You can walk to whatever nightlife or restaurants or anything, really. It's quite convenient compared to where I lived in Canada, where you had to have a car to go anywhere.
Oh, really? And this was in Toronto, right?
Yeah. I mean, I lived in the suburbs in Toronto.
Okay. Yes.
So a little bit out. Yeah, my impression of Japan was about the people as well. I was kind of really impressed with the customer service. Certainly the best in the world, so as far as I've seen.
Yes. I will not disagree with that.
Yeah, but after first impressions, things change as well, I think.
All right. So, do you want to just share maybe one or two things that has changed since your first impression?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I realized was, slowly over time, when I first came, because of my training in martial arts, I had this kind of maybe false preconception, false idea that Japanese people would be very kind of by the book and disciplined. They are quite by the book, but I think that's mostly out of their cultural conditioning and also out of fear, rather than a true sense of some kind of duty or responsibility, which I thought they would have.
Yeah.
Definitely some people do have that. I don't want to say everyone is one way or another way, right?
Yes.
That's definitely not the case. But I was really taken aback by this kind of hone to tatemae. Do you know what that means? Kind of like the image they show and their true feeling are often not the same.
Okay. Could you repeat what that is again?
Sure. Honne to tatemae. Like right? So honne means like the true kind of, as far as I understand, it means the true kind of feeling,
Yes.
and what they show, right?
Yeah, so that's Hone Tatamai.
Yeah, right.
Yes, good. So, you're back to your first job. What was that like? You said you were working with kids. What was that like working with the kids and so forth? What was like a day like doing that job?
Day to day, let's say I'd come into the school, set up the materials, but often I'd set up the materials the day before. So I would come into the school, have all my materials already set up, all my stuff ready to go, just set up the tables, write something on the whiteboard, wait for the kids to come in, greet the parents and the kids, give them a high five, have them do their like attendance stamp. Then they have a writing time, and then the lesson begins. And usually there's a lot of activities and games.
Okay, and this is I'm going to assume it's in the evenings, right? Because you say it's like after school, right?
Yeah, mostly in the evenings, but there are also some younger kids that come. More recently, there's this trend of toddlers learning with their mothers. So even 1 or 2 years old would come with their mothers, but also 3, 4, 5 years old their parents would drop them off usually. Sometimes the parent would stay, but usually they would drop them off. And that would be before, in the afternoon time.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I mean, 2-year-olds learning English. Wow. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So, I mean, did you like this job?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting. And the main kind of thing that I got from it was the experience of interacting with kids. And now I feel a lot more ready to. I'm not a father yet, but I feel a lot more ready to become a father. I feel like I know how to, treat kids and educate kids, and how to lead them in the right direction.
So while you were teaching, you were also learning. That's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. I think we always learn when we teach.
Yes, I think that's what should happen. If you're not learning well, oh boy, I mean, you should maybe move on.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you said you had another job or what?
No, after that. So I'd worked there for a year. When my contract was up, I felt, I felt comfortable. Like I could continue doing it, but at the same time, I didn't want to, for lack of better words, to become complacent doing that job. Yes. I wanted to broaden my opportunities. Yes. So I went back to Canada for a month, spent time with my family and friends. Then I came back to Japan. At that time, I lived with my girlfriend, and I applied for different jobs to teach adults. And then I got a job at Berlitz to teach. Most of the lessons are private lessons, like 1-to-1.
Yes.
And at the same time, through my job search, I had found this job for a semongakko, like I had mentioned before, kind of professional training college. That's what they call it. It used to be called vocational school. Basically, It's like, in a sense, it's lower level than university. That's the common perception in Japan.
I guess it's similar to like community colleges in America, Canada, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That would be a good connection to draw there. But as far as universities and colleges and the vocabulary there goes, I know that UK, Australia, Europe have all different kinds of systems. So it gets really confusing trying to compare it kind of to the Canadian system. Well, I mean, people who know the Canadian system know that usually university is a higher level and then college is a lower level.
Yes.
So, but in the States, those two words are basically interchangeable, if I'm not wrong.
No, you're correct.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really fulfilling because I got to teach students of all different kind of interests and personalities and career goals.
Yes.
It was quite fascinating.
Okay, so it wasn't like necessarily one curriculum that you had to follow?
No, there were two main textbooks. One related to medical English for example, physical therapy students, I should say, um, or students who will work in some clinics or something. And they had
Yes.
another curriculum for the, let's say, music, dance, manga, sports, and so on. Those students, which is
Okay.
it was all about communication. It's a communicative course.
Ah, I understand. Okay. Awesome. And of course you said you enjoyed this also. So, I mean, you're enjoying yourself in Japan. Why why did you want to move on to something else?
I think it just happened by kind of naturally in a way.
Okay.
At the time, I was working those two jobs, and I had been going out and meeting new people, and gained a reputation as a good teacher in the city. So often people would refer me. They would say, "Oh, hey, this guy's a good teacher. You can learn English." And maybe 90% of the people I meet, they're like, "Yeah, I want to learn English. I want to learn English.
Yeah.
Uh, can you teach me?" or something like that. And then maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 actually follows through. So be careful. Be
Oh,
careful about that.
oh,
But
I got you.
out of those people that did follow through, and I also made an online profile,
Yes.
some websites, and just word of mouth. I think word of mouth goes a really long way in Japan.
Yes.
So I had started to build a private student base, and
Okay.
my maybe third year in Japan or so. And so
Okay.
building that private student base slowly but surely, after another 2 years had passed, I had enough students that I was working basically every day, and
Yes.
I had to give something up.
Okay, so it was very organic. Wow. That is good. That's the best type of business to start, an organic one.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Nice. So, I mean, doing business is never easy. So, I'm sure you're facing challenges or you have faced challenges while setting up your business. So, first, I'd like you to walk us through the steps to starting your own business and then talk a little bit about the challenges that you have faced. I mean, yes, take your time, please.
You've asked quite a grand task. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me first explain a little bit about the nature of the business that I'm setting up and starting and have already kind of started.
Okay.
And I also want to highlight some key differences between trying to do it alone, trying to do it in a team, and trying to do it with a business partner, a passive investor or active investor. So they're all very different, I feel.
Okay.
In my case, I was really lucky that one of my private students has several companies, and after I had been teaching him for a while and we had similar interests, he's really interested in philosophy. He likes, sometimes we would talk about, we often would talk about business and, like business conversation, business English. We talked about
Yes.
leadership, managing a team, setting up business, even talked about military strategy, talked about philosophy, we talked about also these kinds of theoretical things that we really clicked on them. So I prepared these kinds of lessons for him. And then one day he just said, "Hey, I think you're an excellent teacher and I think you have some business sense. If you have some business ideas, some kinds of plans, you can feel free to run them by me. And, if they're interesting, maybe we can do something." And I said, actually, I had been kind of thinking up a plan for the last year or so before he had said that. So we had dinner, we sat down, I explained my plan to him. He said, "Okay, we need to tweak this and this." And then we kind of set off on to doing it. At the same time, the thing you have to be careful about is that often if someone wants to invest in you, they may try to seize ownership of that.
Yes, that's true.
So I made it as clear as I possibly could that at that moment I was already kind of in a self-sustainable position where I had my
Yes.
own private students. So I didn't want to give up that freedom in order to work for someone. So I said, look, if we're going to do this venture, we have to go 50-50. It's the only way I'll agree to it. And he said, okay. So that's the current system. Having the benefit of having done that is that in the group, kind of the group of companies that are under his wing, there are some legal experts and there are real estate people who do real estate. There are designers. So whenever, for example, let's say I want to find out something about some license, find out about some taxes or fees, find out about pension, insurance, or make a contract, I can ask them. And because I cannot read Japanese very well, my kanji is quite weak.
I think most foreigners, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, people who have been studying on the JET program often have to take the JLPT, right? So
Yes,
they
that's
often
true.
study Japanese. But in my case, I had no need to do that. And I built my conversational Japanese ability just through, well, first and foremost, having a Japanese girlfriend definitely
Yes.
helps time there.
Yes.
And just meeting people and talking to people. So I can converse in Japanese, but as far as reading and writing goes, no way. So we have a Kabushiki Gaisha, exactly, like a co Ltd, like limited company, right?
Yes.
So yeah, the thing I would warn people about is that there are a lot of fees and taxes that you're probably unaware of that will just creep up on you. And it's like, what? We have to pay this much money just for this whatever license, or for the government to do this, or for the bank or whatever.
Yes.
It's like, what do they even do when we pay them that money?
Oh.
It's a lot of it just really infuriates me, to be quite honest. I really feel like people should be paid fairly in a sense, right?
Yes.
And that goes for business owners as well. I know many business owners that kind of sit back, collect lots of money, and their employees, whoever, do all the work. And that's why, that's one of the kind of reasons I wanted to get into this, that I wanted to make a system that was a lot more fair and a lot more rewarding for the employees and the teachers.
Yes.
So I haven't actually said it yet. The nature of my business is I'm going to set up an eikaiwa. We're in the process of setting one up right now. And we're also going to dispatch teachers to kindergartens and any kinds of other jobs. I also want to look into getting...
So basically you're saying that the major challenge is the fees from government.
Yeah, and just the legal headache. So I would... I'm super lucky in the sense that I have these legal experts to do it. If I didn't have them, oh my God, wow, it would be crazy difficult. So my recommendation would be hold off on setting up a kind of an entity, a legal business entity, as much as you can, right? Try to build your name and brand just through word of mouth in the local community. That would be kind of advice.
Or maybe just go as a sole proprietor.
Yeah, exactly. But for us, if we're going to dispatch teachers, we need to have a company set up.
Okay, understood. All right, so I mean, you have said a lot, but just to maybe in a few words, please give me this assessment. What is the current business climate like in Japan? Is it good for foreign entrepreneurs? That's the question. Is it good for foreign entrepreneurs?
That's really, really an excellent and interesting question, in the sense that Japan,
from your perspective.
yeah, I'm going to try to answer this in a way that's a little bit nuanced, because I think there's no straightforward answer to be given. It really depends on what your business idea is and what you want to get into. Japanese people, I think, as consumers, and they usually go for things that are tested, that are already established. They really, you can see it when you walk by, and let's say there's Ikinari Steak or whatever new restaurant, and there's a lineup. People are like, oh, hey, look at that big lineup. I'm going to go join that lineup. And my mindset is completely the opposite. Like, oh, okay, there's a big lineup there. I'll come back here when there's no one in line. Like, I'm not going to join that line.
I'm not going to join that line either.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never been one to jump on the bandwagon. Um, but most Japanese, I think, are a different case. So if you've got a radical idea, the plus side is that it's likely that others haven't tried it before in Japan, and there's definitely, kind of a great potential. If you test it and it works well, you could be extremely successful if it gains traction. On the other hand, like I said, they jump on the bandwagon, so you can test a new idea, but it's hard to really educate everyone, let everyone know, hey, we're doing this new interesting thing. It's better than the current whatever things there are, or it's something that's really good, that's really useful, that's really healthy or beneficial, and so on, right?
Yeah.
I think many Japanese people will approach that with skepticism. I mean, being a little bit skeptical is good, but you shouldn't be afraid of something you don't know just because you don't know it.
Yes, understood. You should at least maybe give it a try, something like that.
Yeah, right. Give it a try.
Understood.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, all in all, once again, you have said a lot. But if a friend said to you they are planning to start a business in Japan, what would you say? Like maybe in one line or so, what would you say to them?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. I would say, well, I mean, I would ask the friend, what's your idea? Because I would want to hear the specifics of it. I think it's hard to say whether something is worth it or not.
Okay.
But definitely in the States, startups in the States or Canada are much more straightforward, and there's a climate for that. Japan is a lot more resistant to change. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yes.
I mean, if you're clever, you can, if you go about it cleverly, you can use that to your advantage and subvert that kind of trend in order to make your idea or business successful.
Yes.
The way you could do that would be case by case, though.
Yes, of course, and that's what you have been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
You're saying it depends on the idea, and it depends on how to approach the market, and you've been saying that clearly the whole time. Okay, nice. So Mark, we're at the end basically, but first let's play a word association game. Okay, so I will call the words and you tell me what comes to mind. Okay.
Okay. Just whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
So the first one is Canada.
Family.
Nice. Japan.
Food opportunity.
Food opportunity. Nice.
Life. Philosophy and balance.
Nice. Future.
Also family and business.
Nice. Instagram.
I don't use Instagram.
That's fine. Well, Mark, thanks for coming on the show. How can people reach you if they would like to do so?
You can find me on Facebook, Mark Zolatar, Zolotar. You can check out my company's website. My company is called Beyond, ETS, English Training Solutions. So the website is beyond-ets.jp.
Okay, nice. Thank you for that, Mark. Take care and all the best.
Thanks very much, Ryan.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you are inspired. You can find more helpful and motivational material at globalinsidersgroup.com. That is, insiders with an S. You can also keep in touch at Global Insiders on Instagram. See you next time, but remember, you can be your own superhero. Bye.